Hey everybody, welcome back to another edition of PD and PDubs Unscripted here with Pastor Warren. PDubs here on this Monday, May 2nd. How you doing?
I'm good, PD. Welcome, everybody. Happy Monday to you, PD.
So yeah, I'm doing pretty good here on this Monday morning. You know, it's a beautiful day when we're recording here today.
Absolutely. And boy, it's been a fun Chicago spring. You know, you got a warm day, a cold day, rainy day, snowy day, sunny day, you know, everything.
You know, just wait 5 minutes and the weather will change. That old saying, just wait 5 minutes if you don't like the weather in Illinois.
Yeah, for sure. But, you know, spinning out of Easter and what a joyous time that was, celebrating the Lord's resurrection. Christ is risen.
He is risen indeed. Hallelujah.
Yeah, absolutely. Hope everybody listening on our podcast had a blessed Easter time with worshiping our Lord and being thankful for his resurrection and spending time with family. That's always a good part of the day.
Yeah, it was a nice day. Service was great. I don't think we've really been together since the Easter service.
No, I mean, it was just glorious in all aspects. And here at Immanuel, our music ministry just launched us into unbelievable worship. I think I told our music director, Jenny, and the praise band, I think we blew the roof off on Easter Sunday.
Yeah, it was a great day.
Man, oh man, it was really good. And what a buzz. You know, maybe if you're listening and, you know, you don't attend at Immanuel, but hopefully your church had a buzz going on, then we can sustain that excitement,
right?
You know, of our joy that's overflowing in the Lord throughout our days as we kind of head each week into the rest of the year.
So great times there, and with it being a Monday, it's always good to get back to those faith intersections as our Fridays have been a little off lately because of just scheduling for P-Dubs and myself and getting together and being actually in the same state at the same time.
Exactly. You're going to be a man on the move soon. And,
and you were a man on the move.
Oh, a little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah. So, you know, we're moving around, getting stuff done. And but that's what we wanted to talk with today, friends, is a place where PD is going to go with our 8th graders to West Virginia, a small little town in West Virginia.
Yeah, Philippi, West Virginia.
Yeah, so is it Philippi or Philippi?
I say Philippi.
Okay. Philippi.
Yeah, I don't know.
Potato. Tomato. Let's call the whole thing off as the song goes. But, yeah, sleepy little town.
Right.
In the valley.
And trying to look up here, is it this? Here we go. This is what I'm looking for. Because we always usually go to that little bridge.
Yes.
But the Battle of Philippi.
Yes, I do. It's a very historical town.
Right.
With the Civil War, right, Pastor?
Yeah, American Civil War. And it was fought in and around that area of West Virginia. It was a Union victory. It was first organized land action of the war.
That's what they claim, that this was the beginning of the Civil War. And it kind of started by accident if you get into the history of it a bit.
Right, because somebody accidentally bumped into like a cannon or something and it shot a cannon.
And that got the other side going, and that is the shot heard around Philippi, West Virginia, that started the Civil War in their folklore.
Right, so I always remember that, and of course having Mr. Saunders, Dave Saunders, our history teacher here for our middle school and religion teacher who runs this trip, you know, he loves sharing about that.
Oh, he sure does, and you know, I got to hand it to that little town. They've got a little historical district and a museum where there are some sarcophagi, isn't there? Remember that?
I don't think we've done that.
Oh, yes, that is a place where you need to go. And but they have people who tell of the history of the town, and it is rich with history. It's really a beautiful setting, too.
Right, and I was just looking on Wikipedia but there's the old B&O Railroad Station now that is a historical society museum for the county.
And they have a beautiful covered bridge that has gone through some renovation there.
And let's not forget Party Rock.
Party Rock on the Tigris River?
Something like that. Sounds, and it is a neat view there.
Oh, it's a beautiful place. One of my favorite places. What PD's referring to, this Party Rock, is out in the middle of this river. is this long, flat rock that gets you kind of in the middle. And it's a great place for photos with groups and just the setting behind it with the waters wrapping through.
Yeah, and I think the last time we went in the evening, so we got to see the sun's kind of setting during that, which was beautiful. And I was also looking up here some famous notable people from Philippi.
Okay.
Anna Marie Reeves Jarvis. She was a social activist back in the 1800s.
All right.
I don't know her.
Yeah, I'm sorry to say I don't know Anna Marie Jarvis.
Elston G. Dayton, a U.S. representative from West Virginia from 1895 to 1905.
Okay, there we go. This is good.
Okay, I bet you probably will know this one once Ted Cassidy.
Okay, is he the father of Butch Cassidy?
Not the father of Butch Cassidy.
Okay. Oh, wait, I got another one. David Cassidy of the Partridge Family.
No.
Oh.
This person is an actor who was 6 feet 9 inches tall.
Ooh. Man, he could have played in the NBA.
He could have, but he was Lurch on the Addams Family.
You rang. I got to do my look. You rang.
But yeah. So once I didn't think you were going to... Didn't know you had that character voice in there.
If I could get that low, I can do it. You rang.
But yes, Ted Cassidy. So I didn't think you would know his name.
I didn't.
But once I said
Once you said Lurch, I knew where you were at.
But yeah, so we have Lurch.
Yeah, you see him on Me TV every now and again, the Addams Family.
We also have Scott Mile, an ex-NFL player, and doesn't give his times. And then another representative from Ohio, Lyle Williams.
Good old Lyle.
And then, like you're talking about sites of interest, is the Philippi Covered Bridge. Mm-hmm. And it is notable for its use during the first land battle of the Civil War. And this is the only twin-barreled covered bridge located on a federal highway in the United States. And it's also the longest covered bridge, one of the longest covered bridges in the country.
It's pretty cool. And I wonder what they mean by twin-barreled. Is it just like
I think there's like kind of that divide.
Down the middle?
Yeah.
Okay. I do kind of remember that. Yeah, it's kind of like a double-barrel shotgun kind of thing, I guess.
So that's, our school's gone there a lot on mission trips. I know a couple years we did go to Wheelwright, Kentucky, but we're back to Philippi in West Virginia. And I think it's Chestnut Ridge or something.
Chestnut Ridge. World Servants is the organization that we partner with. And it has been a really great place for Faith Intersections to happen because as Pastor and I have both chaperoned there and been pastoral leaders there, it's a great opportunity for our kids to get out into this small hill ridge community where, boy, it's a different demographic. The poverty level is very evident. People living at or below the poverty level.
Right. Yeah, because on that note, I think too, and I'm assuming Philippi and Wheelwright, Kentucky, where I first went with Immanuel for 2 of the mission trips, similar economics. I'm assuming they're both one road into the town, one road out.
Yep.
But when we were in Wheelwright, the one guy was giving us some background on the town, which then I felt a little old when the guy was like, Macho Man Randy Savage got his wrestling career started here.
Okay.
And the kids are like, who? Who? Like, you'll hear when you listen to the 6th grade podcast that I reference SNL, and they're like, what's SNL?
Oh, wow.
They did not know Saturday Night Live, and I felt really old in that moment.
Holy cow.
But
well, you are growing older, my friend.
How I am. But the other thing he mentioned was that the average income there for a family was $16,000. And I remember the next day, some of the kids were like, "Is that a lot of money?" I was like, "You really couldn't live where we live on $16,000 because that's some people's property taxes."
Mm-hmm. And that's an eye opener, not only for the kids, but also for the adult chaperones. I've noticed over the times that I've gone there, it just you begin to really appreciate what you are blessed with having in the Palatine area. And the people are just wonderful people.
Right.
Up on Sunset Ridge and in the town of Philippi. Chestnut Ridge, yeah, sorry about that. And they're very wonderful, approachable people and just down-to-earth folk. But, they're living on very meager means, for sure.
Right. And so it's a great opportunity for the kids not to just experience that different culture, but then kind of learn in a different setting because you never know because people are always like, oh, what do you do on a mission trip? I'm like, or what are we going to do on this upcoming mission trip? And it's like, you really don't know until you get there.
You get there.
You don't know what the need is. They might give you an idea, but not until you go do you really know what the needs are for that given week. Like outside of Immanuel, like between Salem, my first church, and here, I think I've gone on 10 or so mission trips like this, not including Cambodia.
Yeah.
But, everyone has been a little bit different. Like, with Immanuel, the first one I did, we painted a trailer for a trailer home for a family. Next year, which was pretty cool, we got to build a playground where we had to use the post hole diggers, which aren't very fun, and augers and map out okay, here's where we need to dig a hole to put this post and put up a playground. Staining a deck and then building a deck.
Yeah. There's a lot of those projects in Philippi. I remember there was this big house downtown that had a pretty enormous, front porch, and the roof over the porch was arched, and the kids had to paint that and first they had to sand it down, scrape it, sand it down, and it was a very historical looking home, and it was on the main drag. And by the end of the week, man, they did a great job. And they had a lot of kids on that project. But so some of the projects are, as we're saying, downtown. Others are up on Chestnut Ridge. And some are even on the camp itself.
Yeah, because that's where I stayed. It was more of a pavilion. If you remember that pavilion by the little, almost a little bridge.
Yes.
We stayed that the one year.
Oh, right. I know what you're talking about. By the bridge that me and Mike and a couple other people built the previous year.
So
over a babbling brook of a creek or something.
Right, something like that. Yeah. So that was the pavilion we stayed in that one year, and that took quite a long time. And and then other groups are doing other things. It's not like the whole group is there.
Exactly.
And a lot, there is a lot of that construction oriented, but the other is that getting to know people, and that's an important thing. I think we kind of talked about that when we had Tony on about that ministry of presence, that yes, you're going there to maybe build something, but it's also just as important to get to know the people and visit with them.
Yeah, and some of the things we talked about on previous podcasts with regard to serving people, and you kind of say well, why are they just sitting around doing nothing and we're here? We had to come all this. Why aren't they, physically capable of doing it? So you get a little bit of that up on the ridge. And I've even had parents say that, why are we doing all the work? They're just sitting around their house. We're not here to judge. We're here to serve. And say our message should be, how can I help you?
Right, and we're not doing this for thanks, because I know there's been times where kids well, they never even thanked us.
Yeah, right.
But it's I understand it's nice to hear that, but we're not here to hear the thank yous from them.
Right. I'm remembering one of the projects that I got to lead was a house literally on the ridge, right off the main road, the gravel road going down. And it was this person's parents, his mom lived in it and she passed away. So he was trying to clean out her house. And she had everything packed in that house. And I go in there and with a group of kids and okay, we got to clean this out. And well, he wanted to kind of tear down the walls and stuff. So we're pulling down walls and there's dust flying all over the place. There's, some critters got in the house and lived behind the walls. And so you can imagine all that goes with that. And we're all masked up K95 masks, and some were bigger with the goggle filters or whatever, and so we were kicking it, man. We were doing a great demolition job, and they thought that our group would be just fine for the whole week. We had to load up this trailer. We got that first trailer loaded up the first day, and they're like, wow, you guys are really doing great. And we're like, okay, what's next? Well, on one of the breaks, one of the 8th graders comes to me, and his nickname was Bubba. And so Bubba comes up to me and he goes, Mr. Schilf, don't they usually have companies that come and do all this clean out kind of stuff, back home? And I said, Bubba, we are the clean out company.
Right.
So it's like, you're learning some new skills.
Yeah. The one skill I've never got to use on there, what I think I don't need to learn it, is just taking a sledgehammer to destroy something.
Yeah.
'Cause I know some groups get to have those fun experiences.
Those are fun.
Yeah, I haven't got to do that yet.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, so that always sounds like a fun one, just to take out maybe, boom, hit a hammer against something.
Exactly. And, then at the bottom of the house was kind of like this cellar that had an outdoor entryway into it, and we walk in there, and there's these mason jars all strewn around on the ground, and we're like, well, what are these mason jars for? And some of them had like clear liquid in it, and is that water, Mr. Schilf? And I'm like, no, let's just kind of leave this area alone, and you know what goes on out in
a little moonshine,
little moonshine action going on in Grandma's basement.
Yeah, I've never seen that up there.
Oh man, trying to explain that away. I never went there with the moonshine. Well, I don't know. She's just collecting mason jars, everybody. I don't know the liquid. We should just kind of leave, so.
They're keeping them clean.
You get a little education going on in the country for us city slickers.
So, yeah, and I'm trying to think, because it feels like the two, the painting of the trailer and wheelwright, and then the deck building for the last ones, I think it was the last mission trip for the school I've been on. None of those families were really inviting to have us in the house. I think one because of the health concerns for the husband.
Yeah.
And then the other one, I think maybe it might have been was maybe embarrassed by the inside of her house with everything.
Yeah. I think that's a lot feeling for some of those homeowners out there.
Right. And I'm like, it's not whatever. I'm not here to judge people.
Yeah, not here to judge. Yeah.
I'm here to help, and I've shared in the past. There has been times we were talking about a little bit earlier about the judging, because why are we doing this?
Right.
Which can be discouraging, but that's not what we're here for. It's here to be God's hands and feet, have an impact on this community, and you see that. Now I'm kind of curious. Have you ever taken anything back from a mission trip?
I was thinking if you were going to bring that up.
Oh,
but,
you didn't think think I wouldn't bring that up?
Oh, yeah. Well, this was the year my oldest son, Sam, and his class went. Must have been 2006. That's when he graduated. And we drove our big blue Chevy Express van because there were so many people, and we had to kind of get home a little earlier. So we kind of followed, and I drove my big blue van. And so we're getting ready to go home, and all throughout the week there's a lot of dogs that are running around the camp, right? They're around the campus. Well, here's this nice brown looking, he's probably a mix of a lab and something else. And a really nice dog. And the kids started calling him Brownie. And so Joey comes up and he's like, Mr. Schilf, and Joey was riding home with me, can we bring Brownie home? And I'm like, we can't bring a dog home. The dog belongs to somebody up here. Oh, no. I heard from the neighbors that the owner got put in jail. So the dog's all alone. He's got nowhere to go. And I'm like, well, you got to call your dad. Call your folks. So he calls up his dad, and he's like, Dad, Mr. Silver said he'll take this dog home, and can we have it, and this and that, and he's talking it up. And now his dad's name is Bob. He was a character in and of himself, and he's talking to his dad, can I, pleading, and all of a sudden he goes, oh, Mr. Schilf, my dad wants to talk to you.
And you're like, uh-oh.
I'm like, oh, no. I'm like, hello, Bob. And he goes, Warren, what are you doing? And there were other words in there. And I'm like, hey, it's up to you. This is all Joey and you. And so he goes, oh, how can I say no? I'm like, well, we're willing to take him and bring him home. So he says yes, amazingly enough. And so we get Brownie in the van on the way home. That dog laid down. He's like, I just hit the jackpot, man. He was the happiest dog on the whole way home. Good dog. And so we bring Brownie home. And so Brownie had to go to the vet right away, and
Understandable.
they experienced quite a big vet bill. And Joey's dad, Bob, came and said, "Thanks a lot for socking me with this vet bill. The dog had to be dewormed and this and that, get all the shots."
But it lived a long life, the dog
did. Brownie lived a long life, and he was a great dog for their family. And but it was the craziest way this kind of came about, and here we are driving a dog home from West Virginia.
But it feels like that's another thing that, to me, it doesn't feel like what we're used to up here in the Palatine area, like the stray dogs.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like, most of the trips there's been some animal dog, like, whether I know one year when we were in Wheelwright, there was a cute little puppy that was following us around that we had to have puppy time so the kids could play with the puppy. And then the last one, I think it's maybe in the picture of my office where we were up on the hill where we do, like, when Dave talks about, like, the cemetery and, like,
yes,
and we'll look at the sunset. So I have a group shot of us with the sunset behind us, and there's this big dog in the front that was just following us around.
Yeah. I mean, it's like they just follow the group, and that's part of the mystique of the place.
Right, and I know one group I was with, they brought a cat back from Wheelwright.
Oh, really?
Because then it was like pregnant or something, and then they had to bring it back or something, and I can't remember the exact details, but I remember one of the parents brought a cat back.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'll never forget also up on the hill, there was right across the street, there was a family that had baby goats in their yard. And so I was still working as a consultant, and I had to take a phone call, and I'm outside. I went out on the front porch, and in the background you hear this meow, meow, just going on and on and on. And like the person, I'm on a phone call with this big corporate guy, and he goes, "Warren, where are you?" And I go, I'm kind of out in the middle of the country here, doing a servant trip. And he's like, "I was wondering what that bleeding sound was in the back." So it was kind of funny.
But yeah, and so like there is a lot of great work that goes down on these mission trips, but there is a lot of good like free time. Like, one of the nights, I can't remember if you did, but going up to that pastor's house, which is always a little bit of an ordeal because the bus can't get it up there.
Nope.
So you got to take kind of different shuttles and multiple up there, and so some of you are just waiting at the bottom. But this pastor, it used to be a hunting lodge, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Now, one of the pastors that works with World Servants usually brings one of the groups out for an evening to have dinner and just enjoy being out in the...
Oh, yeah. They're so hospitable and kind. Great meal. And you're right. It's like on this ridge through the Allegheny Mountains. I guess it's the Alleghenies. I don't know.
I won't argue.
But it's a beautiful sight. And, so it's... the kids get an appreciation of meeting other people who are in ministry. They get to meet people who are struggling in the day-to-day and, lower economic levels. And they get to meet folks down in the town. And they get to be a visible witness of their faith, which is intersecting with as the community continues its daily life. It's the perfect picture.
It is really great. And even like as you're talking about with that pastor's house, like seeing the kids interact without technology.
Yes.
Like, I don't know if when you were there, I'm assuming it would, but there's almost like a little tree house that you can climb up into.
Uh-huh.
And then like kids were rolling down the hill the one year.
Yep.
When was the last time you saw kids rolling down a hill?
Oh, I know. It's like they naturally revert back to just the simpler things.
And just like looking out at the beauty of God's creation. Because that's the other thing. Because like we probably talked about, Illinois is a pretty flat and boring state.
Yeah.
But there you get to see the beauty of God's creation there with some of the views that you see up on those ridges.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of the bus getting to places where buses don't normally go, that whole trip to Table Rock,
Party Rock,
and at the Tigris River, I mean, it's like this bus is going down this gravel road next to this river. Are you kidding me?
And some of the mountain driving is a little...
Yeah, it's a little sketchy.
I'm usually in the back of the bus, so I can't really see the view, but I'm like, it's a little... I don't know how those drivers do it.
Did you ever have the bus break down or have any, mechanical problems?
No, but we did have our bus driver get pulled over for speeding once.
Oh, really?
So that was a fun experience. I bet the guy was probably like, oh, are you kidding me?
We had one time where the bathroom in the back was broken, and the odor coming out of that thing was really horrendous, and I sat in the back of the bus. I don't know how I didn't get sick, but I was pretty close to. I was real nauseous most of the ride, and then the bus like overheated and something, so we had to pull over and they had to do something with the bus, but we got it going again.
Well, I know Dave usually will share a story about like when they were using Greyhound buses that the one caught on fire and they had to get a different bus.
I wasn't there, but I heard that story.
And then how somebody was like, Dave saw this person, Holly, putting duct tape around the door for the bathroom. And then he was like, well, that's out of her character. What is she doing? Like, she wouldn't be duct taping someone in there.
Yeah.
And I guess they never cleaned out the restroom from the first group that had the bus.
Yeah.
And so she's like, I'm doing this to prevent the smell from leaking in.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was going with that first story when the bathroom broke. But it was pretty nasty.
But yeah, I guess you could have duct taped and that would have made it a little bit better.
I didn't think of that. But there's a lot of it's a great little road trip down there. We do stops along the way, and there's. Did you go to the buffet?
Ryan's?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Oh, boy.
But I don't think Ryan's is on tap anymore. Somebody told me it did close.
Oh, it did?
Ryan's Buffet.
Okay.
But kind of as we're talking about Holly putting the duct tape, the kids do come up with some ingenious ideas on these trips to, like, pass time. And, like, one of the most, I was like, give them credit. I think it was Eli and Garrett, but they brought Monopoly. And I didn't realize that in the back of those buses, there's a few seats that you can turn around and you can put down
face each other
and put a little table. So they did Monopoly, and I played with them, but they even brought tape so they could tape down the houses and the hotels on the board as we were driving, because you never know if you turn. I was like, that's a
great idea.
I'm like, way to think, guys.
Yeah, very ingenious.
But yeah, so yeah, Ryan's, I have had that experience of Ryan's. It is a rite of passage on those mission trips.
For sure. But I think what I really love about that trip is like it's so vastly different from the Palatine area in a lot of ways. There's a lot of great beauty out there, a lot of wonderful people, and it kind of, as you were getting at, it makes us go toward the simpler things in life to appreciate that and to see how people are very genuinely just content.
Right.
With living a life like that. They
wouldn't want to live up here.
No. They're perfectly happy with where they're at. And I'm sure they've got their issues just like everybody else, but like it just doesn't seem to trouble them too much.
Different culture, because like I would assume most of the people in this area were like, yeah, I don't know if I'd want to live there. Might want to go there to visit or like hunting, but full time.
Yeah, that'd be something. Yeah, because there's no Walmarts in Philippi.
No. There was the ice cream spot.
Oh, yeah. And then that closed, didn't it?
I don't know. We did do something with ice cream last time.
Okay.
And then they had like ping pong in the back, so I remember the kids were playing ping pong. But even kind of a couple things as we're getting ready to wrap it up, but you're talking about the sites. One of the things that I know it's been cool to be able to do the last few times on the trip is to go to the Ark encounter, where the kids get to see the life-size Noah's Ark that Answers in Genesis built just south of Cincinnati.
Yeah, we didn't get to do that on our trip, so that's really great.
So
that's
it's really
a great addition.
Great addition where you can kind of see, like, wow, how big and how, like, the Ark could have been in existence. Because, it's not the little Sunday school storybook of the, giraffe head sit above the little tugboat. And it's more of a barge, so you get to walk through there. So that's a really neat experience for the kids to get to experience.
That's great. I'm glad they've added that to the trip. That's and that's a big. You spend a whole day there. Is what you've done?
Few hours.
Few hours. Okay.
And then actually, one other thing to add before the last point I was thinking was the other thing is because Wheelwright and even Philippi both are kind of that coal mining. So that's even that other added, because I know when we were in Kentucky, we went to into a coal mine. But you always got to watch that movie.
The movie, and I can't remember the name of it.
October Sky with Jake Gyllenhaal.
It's actually a very good movie.
Yeah, that's when the kids are like, oh, man, we got to watch a movie. I'm like, for a school movie, it's a pretty good movie.
It is, and it's not about Philippi, but a town nearby, isn't it?
Similar.
Yeah, very similar in the coal mining.
And it's a true story about a coal miner's son who goes into like NASA, like science and building rockets.
And isn't there some coal mines in Philippi?
Probably, or like around
A smaller
Yeah.
nature. Yeah.
So that's one of those other kind of experiencing that. But the last one I want to share a little bit too. The other great thing to me, I think about these trips is the bonding. Like I think about all the mission trips I've been on, and you see the bonding amongst the group. And from a pastoral perspective, it's more of a laid back setting where the kids get to know us in a more laid back setting, not as like maybe as a teacher or somebody up front leading chapel or worship.
Exactly. Yeah. It is really wonderful, and a lot of group time where we're getting together and doing things, strengthening our faith inside the campus there. And it is invariably everybody comes away from that just loving that trip. And it's a great blessing that our Immanuel School provides for our students, our 8th grade students, and for any parents that want to go.
Yeah, so we thank Dave Saunders for organizing that every year. I know that's a lot of work, so major props to Dave for all the hard work that he puts in for that. And so, yeah, I'm looking forward on going on that trip in a couple of weeks. And so, yeah, that's all I got for today.
Yeah, I got one more thing.
Okay.
You rang.
You just wanted to get that in there.
I just want to say it again.
So, yeah, so thank you, everybody, for tuning in today, and God's blessings.